Hey y'all, welcome to the Filling Station. It's a new day, another opportunity to either make money in this market or to just learn from the market. But first, let me give my disclaimer, y'all. I am not a financial advisor. I just enjoy teaching people how to build generational wealth. And yes, the stock market is just one of those avenues. So this video is for educational purposes only. If you could please like, share, comment, subscribe, because we learn and we grow together, y'all. With that being said, let's get started. So we are looking at Apple today, and as you can see, we had an interesting ride in the market on yesterday based on some news from the president. So we have to definitely be careful today because we have some economic data coming out that can send us back to the downside or send us back to the upside. That's why it's important that we learn the charts, right? So again, looking at Apple, we closed at 198.85. Very interesting, coming off of a 168 low here. That is very interesting. Now, where are the trouble places for Apple as of right now? It seems as if all of the charts this morning are kind of looking the same, or all of the charts today are looking the same. Support for Apple as of now is at 190.61. If we should break that, we can come back and retest this area of 194 as resistance. 194.11. Should we break that area, we could possibly find trouble around 196.95. And if we should break that, $200.83 could be a trouble place. Breaking that, 202.30, is that right? 202.03. If we should break that level for Apple, we could very well find support or resistance again at 206.73. I keep saying support for some reason. Now back to the downside under this level of support, 190.61. There's a few layers there, so I definitely would watch that. Again, not financial advice. 190.61, breaking that 189.44. Should we break that to 200 EMA, as of now it's at that 188.72 area. If we break that level, 187.38, and if we should break that 187.38, we can come back to 182.66, breaking that 181.41, again at 178.14. Should we break the 178.14, 176.80, and if we should break that for Apple, 173.42. So those are areas that we could very well find support and resistance for Apple today. And y'all know I'm going to say in this market, anything is possible. Nothing is guaranteed. Again, we are now looking at AMD. It kind of looks like our Apple chart. We had a nice move up yesterday. Are we going to come back to the downside? That is interesting. Trade what you see, right? So where are the trouble places for AMD? I'm going to try to get my little cursor here, if I can do it without, I normally seem like when I try to add stuff, I tend to, okay. So looking at Apple for right now, we're going to say support is around this ATR trailing stop, or around the $92, or AMD, I said Apple, $92.30. If we should break back to the upside, if we could get back above, let's say the $94.10 area for AMD, we could possibly have trouble again at the, let's say, the $95.60. If we should break that for AMD, 97.69, breaking that level, we could possibly have trouble 98.66. And y'all see there's a few layers of resistance here. So I'm going to say this $100.45, right? If we should break above that $100.45 area, or let's say if we could break above 97.69, we can come back to the $100.45 and possibly have some trouble in between those places. Now back to the downside, if by chance we break under the $92.30 for AMD, we could possibly find support again now at, at the 91.39. If we should break that level, 89.06, and breaking that brings us to 88.15. I like to see where the moving average and the line that I had marked is kind of like at this, kind of close to the same place, right? I say so often, that's why it's important we mark our support and resistance. I needed to say that for charting tips, right? So under 87.74 AMD, we could very well come back to 85.21, find support there. Should we break that, 83.18, and if we break the 83.18, it brings us back to this area of 81.50, which is the zone in my opinion. If we break under that level, we can come back to $80.13, and breaking that 78.58. Should we break the 78.58, we could very well come back to around the 76.61, and you can see I just went to where the body of these candles are here to find that level. So if you're trading AMD today, those are kind of areas to the upside and to the downside. Let's look at NVDA just to see where we are today. We closed at 114.33, and as you can see, it was coming off of a low of $94 to be at 115. Interesting, right? Now Where are the trouble places for NVIDIA as of now? Again, it kind of looks like this chart, kind of looks like the other charts, right? So support is, look, we're going to say this ATR trailing stop at the 108, let's say here, 109.01. Back to the upside, if we could get back above 110.23, we could possibly have trouble there. 110.95, possibly get rejected there. 111.72, 112.65, 113.34. Breaking that 114.50, if we should break that 115.28 could be rejection areas or our resistance levels. Now back to the downside, let's say we break under 109.21, 108.68 could be a trouble place. Breaking that level 107.18, should we break that 106.44, 105.08, and breaking that 103.83, breaking that brings us back to the 200 EMA at 102.97. I'm going to say it would not surprise me to see us back at this 102.98 area. Again, not financial advice, right? So let's look at the SPY, because I do believe we have some economic data coming out. And again, I know that my SPY charts are congested, y'all. I'm going to get to the point where I clean some of this up, but keep in mind, it works for me because I've been charting the SPY, and if I need to zoom out and make sure my computer's working right, I've been charting the SPY and Tesla for a few years, so that's why we have a lot of congested lines there. So as of now, where are the trouble places for the SPY? We closed at 548.62, so back to the upside, we could very well have trouble. I do that so often, y'all. Oh gosh. Okay, so where are the trouble places for the SPY as of right now? I'm trying to get to that place. There we are. Let's just look at it from this view, right? So back to the upside, 539.40 could be a resistance area. We rejected that area and came back down, and as you can see, price is trying to get back to that place. So keep in mind, y'all, we moved up on news yesterday from the president, so we didn't have the technicals to support that, so it could very well, you know, come back to the downside. Let me say that again, not financial advice. So trouble places for the SPY, back to the upside, 536.25, 536.82, 537.72, 538.88, 5. If we should break this level here, 539.40, again, we can come back to 540.08, breaking that 540.60. 541.06, and if we should break that, 541.85 could be a rejection area for us. Now back to the downside, if by chance we break under 533.10, and it is possible, we could very well find support, 532.26, 531.82. There's a few layers here, 530.91. We can come back to 529 or 530.02, breaking that, 529.64. Keep in mind, those are levels we just broke through all of that yesterday, so it's definitely, you know, areas that can come back and find support at 528.60, breaking that 528.20. If we should break the 528.20, we can come back to 525.84. Again, I say in this market, y'all, anything is possible, because yesterday was definitely one of those areas that just seeing the SPY, the way that it moved on yesterday, breaking this 528.20 area, we could very well, the 200 EMA is, as of now, is down here at the 519.94 area. Keep in mind, there's a lot of layers of support to that 519 area, but it would not surprise me to see us back to the downside today based on the way that it traded on yesterday. So again, I'm going to say it like this, not financial advice. I do believe I am having some technical difficulties today with my computer, but it's okay. We're going to keep moving, right? So we are now looking at Tesla. We closed at 272.20. Only Tesla can go from 217.41 to 276.87. That is so interesting to see, right? What's interesting is that we are under the 20 EMA that was on our daily chart, so I'm sure that has moved as of now. So as of now, you see there is a gathering spot. I know it's a little bit congested, but we see that there is a gathering spot here for Tesla in this area here. So where are the trouble places? Back to the upside, we would definitely need to get back above this 268.88 or 268.98 area. Should we break that, we could very well have trouble. 270.85, 271.81, 273.31. Let me make sure I have that. Yeah, 273.31, breaking that, 274.48. And again here at 276.30. Should we break that, 277.40 could be a rejection area for us. Now back to the downside for Tesla. I would say under the 261.84, we can come back, retest 259.81, breaking that brings us back to this area of 258.09. There's a lot of layers of support here at this. I'd say where the 257.55, there's the ATR trailing stop and the 50 EMA kind of at the same place, 257.61. So if we break this 257.61 area for Tesla, we've broken through a few layers of support. So I would watch the 255, breaking that, 253.47, 252, and if we should break that somewhere around the 250.05, it would not surprise me to see us back at this 246.77 for Tesla. Let me say that. So if you're trading Tesla today, those are areas to the upside and to the downside. And y'all know I say so often, in this market, anything is possible. Nothing is guaranteed. So if this is something that you trade today, I say it, trade carefully, mark your levels, and once it goes against your why, the reason that you got in the trade, make sure that you have the stop loss or whatever it is that you choose to use. Make sure you have the discipline to execute that, y'all. So it's important to know the plan before you jump into the game. Let me say that. So we're now looking at Meta. We closed at 585.77. It too is kind of looking like all of the rest of them. This nice run up that we had on yesterday. So where are the trouble places for Meta as of right now? Where could we possibly have trouble? Let's see. I'm gonna see if I can make this. I think I am having some computer issues today. So back to the upside, we could very well have trouble at the 577.65 resistance, 579.28, 580.90, 582, there's 11, 580.90, 581.53, 582.26, 582.95. Those are areas to the upside. Now, if we break that 582.95 or 582.95 area, we could very well have trouble. 584.63 and 586.28. There's a few layers of resistance. I was just trying to get some of the areas that was at the next level, dollar amount level. Now back to the downside. If by chance we break under, looks like we're trying to 572.41, we could very well come back to 570.90, 569.94, 568.67, 567.46, 566.46, and 564.25. Breaking that level brings us back to around the 561.95, which is kind of like where our 50 EMA is. However, it wouldn't surprise me to see us back at this 595.40 area for Meta. So if this is something that you trade today, y'all know I said often, trade carefully. In this market, anything is possible. Nothing is guaranteed. I'm going to go back to the SPY just to see where we are. Looks like we tried to go up here and get rejected only to come back down. I'm going to look at the VIX because I normally look at the VIX because it gives me an idea of where the SPY is or what's going on with the SPY. And yesterday we hit a level of this $57.96 only to come down. It looks like we found support here at this 36.29. Now I would watch the VIX back above 38.57. Should we break that, we could possibly come back and retest the 41.25. Above the 41.25, 41.87. Now breaking that, if we should break back above 46.60, which is the ATR trailing stop, in my opinion, that isn't a strong area of resistance that's forming for us now on the VIX. It could very well send the market to the downside because normally when the VIX is up, the SPY is down. Let's say that, right? So back to the downside. If by chance we break this level for the VIX under 36.29, we can come back, find support 34.40. And if we should break that level, we can find support 32.17. Breaking that brings us back to 31.15. Should we break that 31.15, y'all, we can come back to 29.66, and there's a few layers of support there. But the market should be interesting today based on the run up that it had on yesterday. I say so often, y'all, trade carefully. Make sure you have stop losses and make sure you understand what's going on in the news and being able to adjust and move accordingly, right? So again, y'all, I hope these videos are very, very helpful. I hope that everyone have a very productive day, a great day today. If you could please like, share, comment, subscribe, y'all. Again, we learn and we grow together. So with that being said, be blessed as well as a blessing unto others.